Hello, my dear students. Today we're going to see about John Milton's a famous poem on his blindness. I am Mrs. Pricey Joel, guest lecturer, Department of English, St.Joseph College, Cuddalore. John Milton was born on December 9, 1608 at Spread Eagle in Brett Street, London. An English poet, polemistic, a scholarly man of letters, and a civil servant for the Commonwealth Republic of England under Oliver Cromwell. Milton's poetry and prose reflect deep personal convictions, a passion for freedom and self determination, an urgent issue and political turbulence of his days. So, here we could understand about John Milton in a political way or in a common or official way. Let's get some ideas of him. His best works are Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained were written after he became blind. That is a notable thing. Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, a very famous work of John Milton. He is remembered as the greatest English writer of the 17th century. His eyesight began to fail in 1644. By 1651, he was totally blind at the age of 43. He died of kidney failure on November 8, 1674 at the age of 66. Here are the Petrarchian sonnets format that has been used in this poem. A Petrarchian sonnet format is 14-line poem, a lyrical poem, popularized by Italian priest Petrarch. Rhyme scheme of this sonnet that belongs to all Petrarchian sonnet is same. A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A, C, D, E and C, D, E. Originated in Sicily in 13th century with Giacomo dal Lentino, a lawyer. Sonnet, Italian word sonetto, meaning little song. The most common theme between the 13th and early 16th century of sonnet was love. In later times, also focused on religion, politics, and other concern of the reading public. Here, this poem on his blindness also reflect the all qualities of Petrarchian sonnet, whereas it also speak about the love of the poem, where the love is between the poet and the God, and also his curious questioning about God's plan in his life. Let's get into the stanzas. Its 8-line stanzas presents a theme, octave, that is 8-line. Octave represent 8. So 8-line stanza that form proportion which describes a problem or question. That describes problem or questions. Whereas the rhyme scheme, as I already said, is ABBA, ABBA. Whereas the 6-line stanza is sestet. Sestet represents number 6. So that is 6-line stanza. This 6-line stanza develops the theme of the poem, whereas it proposes a resolution or a conclusion of the poem, and that rhyme scheme comes under CDE, CDE or CDC or CDC. Typically, the 9-line initiate what is called the turn or volata, which signal the move from position to resolution. That is where the first octave discusses about the problem, whereas the sestet gives out the solution of the problem, that is represented as turn or volta, that has been discussed in the poem is as in Petrarchian sonnet. On his blindness, as we have already seen the rhyme scheme of this poem as followed by Petrarchian sonnet, octave and sestet. Here there are the lines that represent A, B, B, A, B, B, A. When I consider how my light is spent, ever half my days in this dark world wide, and that one talent which is dead to hide, lodged with me useless, through though my soul more bent, to serve there with my Maker unpresent. My true account leaves a returning tide, that God exact day labor light denied. I fondly ask, but patient to prevent. So here the last lines represented, whereas here we're going to see about the sestet of the poem, that is the sonnet. They are that murmur soon reply, God doth not need neither man's work or his own gift, who best bear his mild yoke, they serve him best. His state is kingly, thousand at his biding speed, and post or land and ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. So here the last each and every word of this essay shows a rhyme scheme of CDE, CDE. So here we could see the rhyme scheme of this poem, that is the sonnet, as followed by the position of Petrarchian sonnet, which gives out the detailed explanation of the rhyme scheme in this poem. Now get into the poem in lines. When I consider how my light is spent, light is a word that clearly speaks about the loss of his sight that alluded. Here of my days in the dark world and wide. Here the speaker speaks about the darkness that surrounded him as he started to lose his eyesight. Here he became blind at the age of 44, which considered to be the middle age for him, where he could have many kind of good stages in life. In that stage he started to lose his visibility, so started to get darkness where he could sense the light of spiritual in him. The word moreover is not only dark but also wide. Milton will somehow have to navigate both literally and figuratively in a worldwide which will pose many dangers. So here loss of the eyesight made him a very sad person who enclosed with himself a darkness where he could want to get more things at the age of that time. He was resist inside the darkness. The world seems to be very dark to him. He just have a great question towards God, why such kind of darkness has attached him. While this darkness he also compare with the spiritual darkness that slowly get him into the light. We'll get seeing how he started to break the darkness in spirituality and slowly get into the light through spirituality, through his words, and that also he gained more confidence and learn about God's plan in his life. Though my soul more bent to serve there with my maker and present. Milton is saying that now that he is blind, his desire to serve God is increased, as we all have experienced many bad times in our life. When bad times come, we started to curse or question a God plan. But here Milton started to realize what's God plan in his life. He is ready to serve God even in his blindness. He ready to serve God through his darkness. He may be confused at first why God have given such kind of thing to him, but he started to realize it in future. My true count least he returned child, true account his good work. Child criticize. He wishes to give a good count of himself and his service to God. Refer the second coming of Jesus. He is worried that God will criticize him for not using his talent. He says that God has given a temptation to him so that he could overcome it. Through the temptation, God checked whether how he uses his talent given by the Almighty at the right way. He also feared that in the second coming of God, God may question the talent he had given to him, whether he had used it, developed it, or he guided it inside himself. This shows his sincerity towards God. This shows how he himself make perfect of his talent and also gain God's presence in his life without questioning his plan. That God exact day labor light denied can be paraphrased as, does God demand that which cannot be given? Milton asks if God just wants lesser task since his blindness denies him from using his talent. He says that God will not give any temptation that we cannot resist. He also cares about us. He gets us into temptation, but he never never delivered us to the evil. He always prevent us. That was realized by Milton. So he says that this blindness will not stop him to serve God. And he also says, I fondly ask, but patient to prevent. Patience. It is not a personal trait of a poet, rather God's Holy Spirit personifies it and having it answers Milton's question. Patient is a major thing Milton planned to have and hold throughout his blindness. The murmur soon replies, murmur complain. Patient speak and explain the nature of God. God doth not need neither man work or his own gift. God is sufficient unto himself. He requires nothing outside of himself to exist and be happy. Here, he says God doesn't expect any gift from him. God doesn't expect anything from him, but only the faithfulness and happiness he has even through his darkness. If he maintained that kind of darkness in him, if he maintained his faith in the darkness, he will get over the temptation. And he also says the God is more sufficient with what he have. He has everything, everyone to listen his command and obey him. So this doesn't make difference in him. Whose best bear his mild yoke, they serve his best yoke. Biblical word for God's will. The people who are most respectful to God's will are the one who serve God best. Those who endure their misfortune without complaint. We have seen a yoke which carries a burden on his neck, but it never complained of it. Rather, it enjoys to serve his owner or the person who owns it. So here he himself lay before God as an yoke. His state is kingly, thousand asses biding spread, and post or land ocean without rest. They also serve who only stand and wait. These lines mean that the whole world are servant of God. There is more than one way to serve God. Patient is telling the poet that even his waiting caused by him blindness can be a kind of service to God. So here, as we already seen in the previous slide, this poem has been divided into two sets. It is octave and sestet in sonnet, the two in Petrarchian sonnet. So the octave discuss about he shows and revolt and frustrated with his blindness. That is, it is discussing about the problem, whereas in sestet he accepts and resignation to God's will. So summary. In this sonnet, the speaker meditates on the fact that he has become blind. So himself blind when he wrote this. He expressed his frustration at beginning, prevented by his disability from serving God, as well as he described to, he is answered by patient who tells him that God has many who hurry to do his bidding and does not really needs man work, rather what is valued in the ability to bear God's mild yoke, to tolerate whatever God asks faithfully and without complaint. As the famous last line sums it up, they also serve who stands and wait. So this summary explains how Milton trained himself to serve God during his disability. Here, while he started to write this poem, he became blind. He almost blind. He is not able to bring out the words in pain, but still he doesn't want to lose his talent through this frustration. He is really ready to be in patient and serve God. Here are some examples of figure of speech used in this poem. First is alliteration. My days in the dark world and wide. Here the alliteration is repeated D and W and W. So metaphor is used in the comparison. Though my soul more bent to serve therewith my maker, the author compares his soul to his mind, whereas personification is also done. But patient to prevent that murmur soon replies. Paradox. They also serve who only stand and wait. So here the figure of speech explains the alternativeness used or the explanation as given in detail about the figure of speech. So figure of speech is also used in this poem. So it has enhanced the beauty of the poem and it ready to give out the beautiful deliverance of God through the poetry of Milton, whereas alliteration and metaphor compares and also it gives a detailed explanation of the poem. The subject matter is also being discussed in the poem. So the theme of God has a plan in their life and it doesn't make any changes in their life. Every experience, no matter how bad it seems,